Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you from wherever you're joining us from. My name is Naren, and I head up product marketing at Testsigma. And welcome to the webinar. I see some known names joining us. Welcome to all. And this webinar is going to be all about cross-browser testing and how you can do that at scale and why it's important and how we can do that at scale using low-code test automation. And I'll be also showing a very brief demo of how you can use plain English statements to automate your test cases across thousands of browsers and devices. So stay on till the end. And of course, we have Q&A at the end. We have my colleague Shubhangi who will be joining us and answering all your questions. So please don't feel shy. Use the Q&A box or chat window to key in your questions, and she will be answering your questions. Quick housekeeping, we are recording this webinar and we will be sending you a copy of the recording. And with that said, let's start. So this agenda for the webinar, we'll be quickly introducing Testsigma because there are some new names. So I'll quickly spend like 2 minutes on that, not more than the promise. And I'll then touch upon user fragmentation and why it's very important for us to look at browser compatibility. I'll be showing some stats, and we'll then look at how to ensure seamless user experience across various browsers. And then finally, we'll talk about how we can build a scalable strategy to do this. And finally, like I said, we'll do a Q&A where my colleague Shubhangi will be helping me take the questions. All right, so quickly about Testsigma. Testsigma is an end-to-end test automation platform where you can write your test cases in plain English and you can execute them across thousands of device browser combinations, OS combinations. And what this means is you can use plain English statements to test your web apps, your mobile apps, your APIs, desktop apps, and we are also working on the same platform to be used in your Salesforce apps too. And you can, apart from cross-browser testing, you can do visual testing. I already mentioned API testing. You can do database testing, data-driven testing, and essentially, regression testing, right? So essentially, think of Testsigma as the one platform for all of your testing needs across all of your apps, across any browser device combination you can think of, right? And essentially to sum things up, you can literally replace like tons of tools, services, products across your testing setup with just one platform, that is Testsigma. As you can see, Testsigma is literally the alternative to your reporting tools, testing infrastructure, test management tools, frameworks, and libraries and programming languages. You can replace all of that with just one platform, that's Testsigma. And Testsigma today is used by literally hundreds of some amazing QA teams, enterprises like Samsung, Honeywell, HP, Hands-Up Global, NTUC, Cisco, Bosch, all these great QA teams from these great companies use Testsigma to make their test cases using plain English across browser device combination. So moving on to the topic of this webinar, cross-browser testing. What we realized is that we were just looking at some benchmark metrics across the world, and we realized that almost 55 to 60% of any website traffic comes from mobile device traffic, right? And the problem is compounded because the typical user base of your website comes from thousands of Android devices and hundreds of iOS devices. And within these, obviously there is Safari, Chrome, Firefox, and there's always new browsers coming up. There's Brave, right? So, and of course, there's uh, the always the case of people using IE, the good old Internet Explorer, to visit your website from devices. So, what happens is the problem is compounded, and you literally have to provide a really good user experience, right, to the customer user, no matter what device, no matter what browser, no matter which part of the world they are trying to access your website or your application from. And this is again what we found, right? We found, though Chrome is clearly the market leader, there is still at least 5 other browsers that's contributing to your user base. And some of the stats here are frankly quite scary, right? I mean, 88% of users, when they visit your application or website, if they find something breaking or a bad experience, they just close the app or close the browser, and they never return, right? And of course, the poor usability is going to lead to loss of revenue and business. So it's very important that that as QA team software testers, we make sure that we are testing our applications and websites across browsers and devices. So the solution is clearly, cross-browser testing is the solution, and some of the best practices here are to not ignore older versions, though a lot of modern browser device companies force you to upgrade. There are still tons of users that come from older versions of, be it iPhones or browsers or OSs, and so you have to test for the optimum number of combinations, and you have to test for geography-based behavior, right? For example, let's say you have a localized app, which means your app will be in English, but it has to render, let's say, in Hebrew when somebody from Israel is visiting, or it has to render in, let's say, Spanish when somebody from Spanish-speaking countries is visiting the website. So you have to test for geography-based behaviors, and of course, you have to test for different network conditions, right? For example, though today the world we are using 4G and 5G, you still have people accessing your applications from 2G or 3G enabled phones. So it's very important that you account for network conditions, right, for each browser and device combination. Um, so um, and so with Testsigma, you can basically build scalable cross-browser test using built-in natural language processing, and you can basically reuse test cases. You can test for geolocation testing. Like I said, a great example is localized content in localized languages. And you can test for network throttling, right? So how will the app behave if somebody is using a phone that can only access 2G or 3G network, right? And of course, you can do review management, test case management, version control using Testsigma. You can analyze and isolate issues by environment, and the reporting is really something that you will need to debug. And of course, you can Testsigma also ships with AI augmented auto healing capabilities, right? So that's one other feature in Testsigma that really reduces maintenance of your test scripts each time there is a new code base that's merged. And Testsigma, literally integrates with almost 40 or 50, tools that you typically find in any, continuous testing um, journey, right? Starting with your collaboration, tools like Slack, to beggar putting tools like Jira, Trello, and of course, test lab like BrowserStack, Sauce Labs, and of course, the most important part of any continuous testing setup is your CI/CD integrations, right? So we integrate with Jenkins, Bamboo, Azure DevOps, and as we as we are doing this, we are constantly taking feedback from customers like yourselves and trying to build more integrations that will make your life easier and that will really help software testers around the world to test early, test fast, and help release quality software at speed and scale. So that's pretty much the quick summary I want to share. Happy to take Q&A right while we show a very quick demo of how you can write your test cases using plain English and test them across various browser device combinations. As we show the demo, please feel free to add in your questions using the Q&A and chat window, and my colleague Shubhangi and I will try to answer as much questions as possible.
Hey everyone, my name is Vignesh. I'm from the product marketing team of Testsigma. First of all, thank you, Naren, for the brief explanation on the need for cross-browser testing and the best practices to be taken care while doing cross-browser testing. So now I'm going to quickly take you through a demo of how cross-browser testing can be done on Testsigma using a unified low-code approach. So on my screen, you can see the Testsigma dashboard. So you will have to go to your necessary project. So for example, let me take the example of my project, which is cross-browser testing. So once I go there, I can create all my test cases using a low-code approach in the test cases menu. So I can just come here, I can click on create test case, and I can easily just click on record, and I can record my test cases. I've already recorded a couple of test cases here. So a couple of those test cases and how it looks like here. So I can just add a new one. I can say click on, let's say submit. So once you have created all the test cases, you can merge your multiple test cases into single test suite. So a test suite is a collection of test cases that will execute at a particular time on a test machine. So once you're done with holding your test suites, you can add up to n number of test cases into a test suite. So you can just click on add or remove test case, and you can see that these are all the test cases that have already been added to this test suite, and these are all the ones that are yet to be added. So once you're done with this, you can go back, you can go to your test plan. So when you create a new test plan, this is where your cross-browser testing comes into play. You can click on create test plan, give a name for the test plan. Let's say test plan B. And next you can just add the different test suites for this particular test plan. I'm going to add this particular test suite, and I'm going to click on add to plan. Once I've added, I can choose the virtual machines for the same by clicking here on the virtual machines tab. So I can decide on which OS is to run and what kind of browser to choose from. So for example, this runs it on the Chrome of Windows V11. This is a test machine that uses Safari. So I'm going to select the different test machines on which test environments on which I'm going to execute my test cases. And then I can click on continue. The particular test plan will be created. Now I can go back and just simple run this test plan. When I click on run, Testsigma will start executing these particular test cases that we recorded without having to write complex scripts. So Testsigma will execute the test suites under that particular test plan, and you can get a live view of the status of the execution here. I'll take you through a test plan that I've already executed. So if you look at it, it shows you the status of the entire test plan. It shows you all the individual test cases. It also shows you the test cases at the test suite level, how much time it took to run. You can also view the live videos, screenshots, as well as the logs for the particular test plan. And that is how essentially you do cross-browser testing in Testsigma. Very simple. Go to your project, create all the required test cases, put all the test cases into a particular test suite, and then go to your test plan, create a test plan for multiple browsers together at the same time. Okay, just select the devices on which you would want to run on the specific browsers and click on run. You should be able to view the status of the execution queue. So this is how cross-browser testing works in Testsigma. If you have any queries, please feel free to shout it out through the chat box. I have my colleague Shubhangi with us here. She'll be able to assist you with any queries that you may have on Testsigma's cross-browser testing capabilities or anything related to low-code test automation in general. Thank you.